Flight 229, the last transmission. The night Boston Logan Airport was drenched in fog, the kind that swallowed entire planes whole before they ever left the ground. Passengers shuffled through security half asleep, clutching coffees and boarding passes. No one noticed the man standing alone by Gate 47, watching the glass where nothing was visible beyond the mist. His name was Daniel Reeves, 38, aviation engineer, recently fired, recently divorced, and now boarding a flight he wasn't supposed to take. Flight 229 to Los Angeles, a routine red-eye. 6 hours of silence between strangers. That's what he thought. When the boarding call echoed through the speakers, Daniel hesitated. He wasn't meant to be here. The ticket wasn't even his. It belonged to a coworker who'd called in sick. But he'd taken it anyway, desperate to escape Boston, desperate to outrun a mistake that had been haunting him for months. Inside the cabin, everything looked ordinary. Overhead bins clicked shut, seatbelts fastened, safety announcements droned in the background. But as Daniel slid into seat 22A, he noticed something strange in the seat pocket in front of him. A small cassette player. Not modern, not digital. An old silver recorder, the kind that had gone out of style 20 years ago. On it, written in red marker, "Play after takeoff." He almost laughed, thinking someone left a prank. Still, once the plane rose above the clouds, curiosity got the better of him. He pressed play. A soft crackle, then a voice. Calm, male. "This is Flight 229, Los Angeles bound. If you're hearing this, it's already begun." Daniel froze. The voice sounded eerily familiar. Steady, low, with a faint accent he couldn't quite place. "You don't know me," it continued, "but I know what you did in Hangar 12. Daniel's stomach dropped. Hangar 12, his department. The maintenance bay where he'd signed off on a faulty sensor 3 months ago, the same one that caused an engine fire, the one that killed 47 people on a test flight. He yanked the cassette out, staring at it in disbelief. How could anyone know? The investigation had been buried. His company had silenced it. He stood, looking around. Passengers were calm, scrolling phones, reading magazines. No one was reacting. No one else could hear it. He pressed play again. "You shouldn't have boarded this flight, Daniel." His pulse spiked. He looked down the aisle. Nothing unusual, except for one passenger near the back. A woman, pale-faced, long black hair, staring directly at him. The moment their eyes met, she smiled faintly, like she'd been waiting for him. He turned the recorder off again. The flight attendant passed, offering drinks. Daniel's voice shook. "That woman back there. Do you see her?" The attendant looked confused. "Which woman?" He pointed, but the seat was empty. No one had been sitting there at all. He sank back into his seat, sweat slicking his palms. The plane's hum seemed louder now, like the engines were straining against something invisible. He pressed the recorder again, whispering, "What do you want from me?" "You're going to tell them the truth," the voice said, "before it happens again." "What happens again?" "The fire." And then he smelled it. Faint, acrid, unmistakable, burning wires. He jolted up. "Something's wrong, the left side." The flight attendant frowned. "Sir, please remain seated." He pointed toward the wing, his voice breaking. "There's smoke." But when others leaned to look, the sky was clear. No smoke, no sparks. Only black clouds drifting past. He turned to the man beside him, an older gentleman reading a newspaper. "You didn't smell that? Burning metal?" The man shook his head. "You all right?" "Son?" Daniel sank back. His pulse hammered. The recorder was still clutched in his hand. He hit rewind, desperate for proof. But now the tape played static. Just static. Minutes passed. Then the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a minor technical issue, but everything's under control." Daniel's blood ran cold. He knew that tone. It was the same script he'd written for internal reports years ago, how to calm passengers during non-critical malfunctions. But this wasn't minor. He could feel it. He unbuckled, ignoring the startled looks as he hurried toward the cockpit. "I need to talk to the captain." A flight attendant stepped in his path. "Sir, you can't be here." He lowered his voice. "Please, the left engine. I designed the sensor system. It's going to fail." The woman hesitated. Something in his eyes made her believe him. She turned toward the intercom, ready to call the pilot. Then the lights flickered. A low boom echoed through the cabin. The floor trembled. Screams erupted as the plane dipped sharply. The overhead lights went black. Daniel clutched the seats as oxygen masks dropped. The attendants shouted orders, trying to restore calm. But the panic was contagious. Then, through the chaos, he heard it again, through the static of the recorder still in his grip. "It's happening again, Daniel. This time, you're here to fix it." He stumbled toward the cockpit, forcing the door open as alarms blared. Inside, both pilots were fighting the controls, sweat pouring down their faces. The left engine gauge was flashing red. Daniel shoved forward, shut off the secondary valve. It's feeding excess fuel into the turbine. The captain turned, startled. "Who are you?" "Do it," Daniel shouted. Without waiting, he reached over the console and flipped the valve. The alarm stopped. The plane steadied. The captain froze, staring at him. "How did you?" Daniel collapsed into the jump seat, shaking. "Because I caused it. Years ago. The sensor. I signed off on it." The pilots exchanged a glance, but said nothing. Silence filled the cockpit, broken only by the faint crackle of the radio. "This is Flight 229, engine failure contained. Stabilizing altitude at 30,000 feet. The voice on the other end replied, "Copy that, 229. "Wait, did you say 229? The captain frowned. "Yeah, why?" "Static." Then the radio hissed again. "Flight 229 went down over Colorado 12 years ago." The pilots froze. Daniel's breath caught. The radio cut again. This time, a new voice, faint but clear, coming from the cassette recorder still in Daniel's hand. "You did it right this time." He looked down. The recorder screen was glowing faint blue. "You can rest now." He blinked, and the cockpit was empty. No pilots, no sound, just silence and soft morning light spilling across the windshield. Outside, there was no sky, only open field. The plane had landed. He stumbled down the aisle. Every seat was empty. No luggage, no passengers, just his reflection staring back from every window. Older, tired, but somehow at peace. He stepped through the cabin door into sunlight. The air was warm, filled with birdsong. A single figure stood on the tarmac ahead, his old coworker, the one who died in the original crash. "Hey, Dan," the man said gently. "You fixed it this time." Daniel tried to speak, but no words came. The man smiled. "You can let go now." Daniel looked up at the sky. Clear, endless, impossibly calm, and for the first time in years, he wasn't afraid. When investigators later recovered Flight 229's black box, they found no trace of Daniel Reeves on the passenger manifest. But one item was logged among the debris, a single cassette recorder. The tape inside contained only 6 words. "Flight 229, incident resolved, all clear."